inform.
Religious freedom is about people of faith being able to live out their faith, live out their convictions, no matter where they are.
We equip.
Sacred honor is the courage to speak truth, to live out your free speech.
We also rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope.
This is At the Core on American Family Radio.
Welcome to At the Core with Walker Wildmon and Rick Green. I'm Rick Green, America's Constitution coach. Thanks so much for joining me on this Tuesday. Wow, there has been so much happen. I know I often say there's a lot of things in the news, a lot of things I got to cover, but I'm telling you, today it's just, there's a ton to cover right in my backyard, right here at the Patriot Academy campus. A lot of bad, frankly, a lot of ugly, but also some incredible good. And as you've seen all over the news, this area has been completely devastated by, I am now hearing, a 500-year flood. In other words, it's beyond even the 100-year flood. It's been just, it's hard to describe. It's impossible to describe. I'm telling you, we've been out there, and the devastation, the overwhelming force, it was just unreal. And of course, the loss of life is even hard to fathom. The families that have been impacted by this from all over the state of Texas and some beyond, that had their kids at these wonderful, wonderful Christian camps, some phenomenal work being done there for years and years and years, many lives impacted in a positive way at these camps. And so, for the camp director there at Camp Mystic to lose his life helping to save lives, and the miraculous stories of these young men, these young Boy Scouts that saved all of the young boys that had been in their cabins. One of those even floating down the river and just miraculously getting lodged at a place where they could climb out. And step before it broke apart. It just, story after story. All of this to say today, I just want to tell you, I'm going to play for you something I recorded just a few minutes ago on our in my tavern program. I went live on Facebook and X and YouTube and everywhere else, just to update everybody on two main things. Number one, the floods and what's happening right here all around us. I mean, we're literally surrounded by the areas that have been flooded. Austin, the Kerrville, Comfort. We're right in the middle of it. We happen to be in a place, this is the hill country, so there's some high areas. We happen to be in a high area where the Patriot Academy campus is. And so I'm going to address a couple of things, how people can help and not hinder the first responders that are doing miraculous work right now, but also starting to think towards the next few weeks in ways that you can help in the coming weeks and months. And then I want to address something that's a good. So there's some bad and ugly to talk about, but I also want to address a good, which is that we launched Constitution City, Texas last Friday night on July 4th. We declared our independence right here at the Patriot Academy campus, a 177.6 acre city. Think about that number for a second. 177.6, yes, 1776. And Constitution City has been birthed. Now, it's going to take us a few months. It's a process. It'll be on the ballot in November for this area, but it's just a really neat thing that's happening during a tragic time. And as I told them Friday night, as we were getting ready to sign the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, Independence Day, but our special version of the Declaration of Independence, which I'll share with you a little bit today, I told him, I said, our inclination, certainly in the Green family, our, default setting is always to run to the battle. David Barton has a great talk called Run to the Roar, and it's that whole warhorse runs to the battle mentality. That's just in our DNA. That's our family. That's what we do. And when these tragedies happen like this, we're immediately out there trying to help and doing everything that we can. And we've been through this several times. Just 10 years ago, the Wimberley flood was not this bad, but definitely a lot of loss of life. And we spent a lot of time out doing search and rescue. And then, of course, Hurricane Harvey just, 7 years ago. A lot of time in the weeks after that, mucking houses and doing that kind of thing. So we believe in servant leadership, and we believe in laying down our lives for others. And so our inclination is to run to a battle like that and be out there as quick as possible. However, we also recognize that in some situations, the first responders are better equipped to do it. And if you're not trained to be in that situation, you can get in the way. And so there's a balance here in how that is handled. But then also part of what I told them Friday night is there's a recognition that you have to walk and chew gum, and you got to recognize that there are different aspects aspects of this to be done. And so I know it might seem to you as an over-the-top analogy, but I mentioned to them Friday night that as the Alamo is being fought, and as the Texians are dying at the Alamo, the other Texas heroes were at Washington on the Brazos completing the Texas Declaration of Independence and putting the government in place while others were in the battlefield dying. And so there's a time where you have people that are on the front lines in one way and then on the front lines in another way. And in our case, it had to be doing some of the legal aspects of becoming a city. And that's for a lot of reasons. It's for the property rights that we're fighting for. It's also for being better equipped next time around, that we have the infrastructure in place as Constitution City to better serve our neighbors in a situation like this tragedy. But it's no different than, the ones at the Continental Congress doing the Declaration of Independence in 1776 while Washington's out on the battlefield with the troops, and New York is developing as they're gathered in Philadelphia doing the Declaration. The British are descending upon New York, and Washington's having to get ready to go fight that battle, which he ends up losing, actually. All of that to say that in the midst of the tragedy, in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of all of that, we are forming Constitution City. It's been in the works for months, and everything had led up to July 4th, not knowing that this tragedy was going to happen all around us. And I actually think it's God's design, because it's going to help us become better neighbors and help us to teach the proper role of government and all of those things. So anyway, I'm going to take you right into that live tavern episode that I did. And just a reminder to everybody out there that maybe wondering why it's called the Tavern. The Tavern's played a critical role in the Revolution for a place that you could gather, have dinner together, and talk about the revolutionary strategies and tactics that it would take to birth a nation. And today we do that in the Tavern to talk about the revolutionary strategies and tactics it's going to take to save a nation. So let's jump into that live, and then we'll take a break in a moment. All right, this is the first time for us live in the Tavern. All right, all these years of doing Front Porch Live, which we really enjoyed, and it seemed like everybody else enjoyed it too, and I miss it. I miss being on the front porch, which we don't live in that house anymore. So it'd be kind of strange to go do Front Porch Live from that house at this point. And I miss that fireplace. Yes, this one is fake. Okay, just transparency from the beginning of going live in the Tavern. It's not a real fireplace. Looks cool, but it is July in Texas, so I'm kind of glad it's not real. Anyway, so welcome to the Tavern, and we're basically going to combine a lot of things. Patriot Academy has so much going on right now, from building out the campus to our leadership congresses all over the country right now. I'm headed to Delaware in, 24 hours. The team's heading out in the morning, and then I'm heading out just a few hours after them. So we've got that going on. And then, of course, the floods all around us, tons of people in need of help, and a lot of help that's going to be needed in the coming weeks, which is what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today. And then, of course, becoming a city, Constitution City, Texas, beginning right here at the Patriot Academy campus, let alone the whole Rebuilding Liberty effort for the 250th, which we're now down to less than a year. I've been counting down for 2 years already, and now we're down to less than a year. So 360 days, and it'll be the 250th birthday of the country. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. We're going to combine a lot of things that we have done up until now. And by the way, we're testing right now in a way, because we're going live, and I don't even know if it's working, but we should be on Facebook right now, and on Twitter, and on YouTube. On X, and on YouTube, and eventually even TikTok. But how's Facebook looking? Did we make it to Facebook? Okay, good. So I think we're live on Facebook, so you can certainly put your comments, questions, insults in there, and I'll be responding to those here in a few minutes as well. Anyway, so this is not going to be our normal time. I'm doing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because so much has been happening with the flood recovery efforts and with our campus and all the people that are here. And then eventually what we'll do is mark your calendars Mondays at 6 o'clock Central. So 4 o'clock on the West Coast and 7 o'clock on the East Coast. We will be going live in the Tavern every week. That's going to be our time. And that way I can spend a little bit of time doing the good, the bad, and the ugly like we did all those years from the front porch. And then we'll go straight into Flashpoint and be with Gene and Lance and the team, Hank and everybody probably go back to doing Mondays and Tuesdays. I've got a couple of weeks left of Rebuilding Liberty. So tonight we're going to be doing week 2 of Rebuilding Liberty. And then for 2 more weeks, we'll finish out that class, that national class. And then we'll go back to doing Flashpoint at 7 o'clock. But I I want to have, some time with you, just you and me. And so I'll go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, talk about those things, and take your questions. Tonight, I needed to do it at 3 because things are just happening in real time, bottom line. And we've got all these people at the campus. And so let me just back up and say, let's address the flood issue first, because we got a lot of people calling from all over the nation saying, what can we do? My phone's been blowing up for the last 72 hours. People texting and saying, what can I do? What can I do? And thank God for you. I mean, we want the help. We need the help. We're sort of in that position where we're trying to help here locally. And it's been, let me just read to you real quick. Got to put my glasses on here. I mean, this is essentially what the sheriff has said. Okay, so let me back up again. We did this 10 years ago with the Wimberley flood, and our heart is the same as yours. Our friends, our neighbors, our fellow Americans in need, we're there. Our automatic reaction in the Green family, and frankly the whole Patriot Academy attitude, is run to the roar. David Barton's got a whole talk on this, how the war horse runs to the battle, runs to the roar, and that's the way that we are. It's the way we've always been. It's our natural inclination. So we did that in Wimberley 10 years ago. We did search and rescue for days and days and days and days and days. And it was hot. It was nasty. It was messy. We went out with cadaver dogs. I mean, we spent a lot of time. I stepped into a sinkhole and disappeared for a minute, and came back. I mean, it was wild, and the community coming together was beautiful. The pain was awful. Of the families that were lost, and it was very similar in terms of houses literally, washing down the river and entire families being lost. So it was bad. This is even worse. This is way worse than the Wimberley flood was in terms of loss of life, and of course the kids, and not just Camp Mystic, but these others as well. But let me just read to you, okay? So this is what the sheriff said yesterday, late yesterday, and immediately when all this stuff happened Friday. In fact, you'll see soon video of our declaration as a city. So Friday night, July 4th, we were gathered in the chamber here at the Patriot Academy campus with, I don't know, maybe 250, 300 people. I don't remember how many total were here, to have our 4th of July party, but also to declare our independence as a city. And we have a whole declaration that we wrote that's a modified version of the actual United States Declaration of Independence about becoming Constitution City. It's really cool. It's amazing what we're doing, all that good stuff. But even by then, I mean, that was Friday night. So by then we knew about how bad the floods had become. We knew that there were, a need for search and rescue, all of that. But I said at that time, I said, look, you have to be wise and discerning about how you help, because you can actually become part of the problem. And I am normally not the type to hold anybody back from that instinct of let's jump in and help. Be dangerous is our mindset here at Patriot Academy. However, I've seen in these situations where so many people descend on the area to help that the volunteers become actually a liability to the effort to try and do the search and rescue. And the outpouring of support, over 400 professionals, right? The fire department, police department, law enforcement, people that have been coming in. And I'm not talking FEMA. FEMA's the worst. If FEMA's the one telling you not to help, you probably need to ignore them and keep going in. I'm talking about local law enforcement and the fire department and the search and rescue teams from this area are the ones that are saying, hey, we got all the help we need right now. Okay, don't become part of the problem. So here's basically what the sheriff said. Search and rescue operations are ongoing throughout Kirk County using assets from local, state, and national first responders. These are trained first responders. Volunteers are not to go out searching on their own. They are interfering with our search and rescue operations. This is a massive, well-coordinated effort, and we need cooperation in this. If you want to volunteer, call 830-465-4797 or go to tcrcommunityos.org. I'm giving all that out because I know a lot of you want to help, and a lot of you have driven in and come in from all over the place to help. Go through these organizations. So I'll just tell you what we did yesterday, and I had held everybody back. I wish I had a graphic of Mel Gibson with the blue and white paint on, holding the spear that all the spears they had made, and saying, hold. I feel like that's me right now. I'm saying hold back until the right time for us to help, because we don't want to be part of the problem. So that's what I did Friday and Saturday. Told everybody, keep working on the things at the campus you're doing. Finish your constitutional defense class. Quick interruption. I feel like the National Weather Service. Yes, we're going to interrupt. Got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to At the Core with Walker Wildmon and Rick Green.
At the Core podcast are available at afr.net. Now, back to At the Core on American Family Radio.
Welcome back to At the Core with Walker Wildmon and Rick Green, jumping right back into that live recording I did just a few minutes ago in order to update everybody on what's going on with the floods and with Constitution City, Texas. There will be a time where they need us, and it's going to be an extended time. We're talking weeks and months of rebuilding and cleaning, and it's going to be nasty work. We've done this, and so we're just kind of saving everybody for that. Well, yesterday morning was the first time that we were actually asked to help. We've been reaching out and asking who to help. And so we showed up yesterday morning with our local fire department and our commissioner and all those folks ready to go. And we had, a couple dozen people there ready to go out and search. We had our tools, materials, gloves, all that stuff, because, again, we'd done it before. And they said, we appreciate you being here, but we only want the ones with drones, and everybody else, we're going to rely on the first responders. And so we backed off with most of our team and only went in with a handful of people and the drones that we had. And so we spent a good chunk of yesterday doing that and, did our part. They gave us a grid, gave us an area to go in and search. And so we did that, but we did it under me if you ever watched any of my stuff, under the authority. I'm not usually good with authority, but under the protection or blessing of the fire department and doing that. And that's the right way to do this particular situation. And I'm talking even people that are driving in just to look around. It's gotten to the point now where it's so congested, they're blocking streets that law enforcement and fire department needs to be able to get up and down. And so they had to close one of the major arteries just because of that. So I share all of that to say thank you. God bless you. We want your help, no doubt about it. But it needs to be at the right time and needs to be through the right channels in this particular situation. And so that's what we're doing at the Patriot Academy campus. We got a couple of hundred people here ready and willing to help. So we are on call. We are preparing for the moment when they reach out to us. So we're in contact with county judges, sheriff, fire chief, all of the commissioners, all of those people. And they know that the Patriot Academy Army, if you will, is ready to go. Now, to you at home, because I know a lot of you are all across the nation and you can't physically come here, but you've been saying, where can I send supplies or where can I send money? I want to donate. I want to be a part of the effort. I don't know yet. I am always cautious in these situations about people donating and who to donate to, because there are always grifters and people that take advantage of these situations and play on people's emotions and all of those things. And we want to make sure we don't in any way steer you to the wrong people, or even to people that aren't going to be quite as effective with the dollars and with the donations. So here again, I'm going to say hold. If you just right now want to make a donation, then we've set up a Patriot Academy fund where we're just going to let that money sit until we have the right way to help. So if you want to donate, we did this back with the with Hurricane Harvey, you can do that. So you can donate at patriotacademy.com. There's a drop-down menu for Hill Country flood victims, flood effort. I can't remember what we called it, but you can do that right now at patriotacademy.com. If you're just itching to donate, and please, we're going to be asking for that down the road. Right now, I'm not even asking for that, but if you want to donate, you can donate there. We are going to hold those funds until we can, like a laser beam, make sure that they're making a big difference for somebody. We have a lot of Patriot Academy family, people that are coaches and students and whatnot that are in the worst part of the destruction. And so I think probably that's where we're going to go with those funds and with our manpower. We're going to find a coach or somebody like that lost a home and needs to rebuild, or just we're going to be out there with our chainsaws, cutting up trees and cleaning up and all that. So that will probably be where our efforts go. But if that doesn't materialize, then we'll take your donations and we will target them to somebody that we see making a difference, and we're not going to go reinvent the wheel. So it may be Mercury One, who we team up with a lot anyway. I'm sure they're going to be down here in the coming days and weeks. There's other organizations that we're being connected with, but we're going to check all of that out and make sure it's good. And then you'll be able to donate. Or if you want to donate, again, go patriotacademy.com, and then we'll donate it or redirect it to where it's going to make a big difference. I can tell you it's impossible to describe. I didn't spend a lot of time taking video and pictures because everybody else is doing that. But I was shocked at the size of the trees that this flood literally uprooted and washed away. I'm talking about massive trees, cars, houses, RVs. The level of destruction is impossible to describe. You've all seen it online. Other people have been posting those videos. And then just the mass entanglement of all of that where it washed it down. We saw some of that in with the Wimberley flood, but man, nothing like this. This was, 30 feet, from 0 to 30 feet in a matter of hours. And so the stuff that it washed together and mixed in together, that's why I think too, that just to be blunt with you for a little bit, the only way that they're going to find the remaining people is going to be cadaver dogs. That's just what's going to happen over the next few days and maybe even weeks. And so that's why people going out on their own and searching it becomes more of a problem than a solution. So anyway, that's the, I guess, the good, the bad, and the ugly of that. The bad and the ugly is obvious: the loss of life, the incredible damage to people's property and homes and all those things. The good, obviously, this outpouring is amazing. I mean, I'm just so thankful that the American people continue to be the most benevolent nation in the history of mankind. Don't forget where that came from. Our Christian foundation is what created that benevolence. All the people right now that are wanting to help out of the goodness of their heart, and granted, there's people that just want to be able to post on Facebook that they helped, or that they, were down here, or that they saw it. Okay, whatever. That's a minority of the people. Most of the people that are down here, they just want to help, man. They just see people in need and they want to be a part of the solution. Thank God for that. Thank God for that benevolent Christian foundation of our country, and the desire to treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. That's the nation I want to be in. That's the community I want to be in. I mean, that's a big part of why we're forming Constitution City. And it has been absolutely illuminated for me over the last 72 hours that this incorporation of Constitution City is way more than just having a nice address or having our own ability to do our roads and everything the way that we want to do it in the buildings. It's actually going to become the mechanism for providing structure in this unincorporated area of the county, so that when these kind of things happen, we have the people in place that are trained. We have the law enforcement and everything else in our corner of the county and on our campus that are the best trained in the country, that we can deploy immediately to help our neighbors, or God forbid if it happens right here on our property. So I'm more motivated than ever with regard to this incorporation of Constitution City. I think it's going to be a beacon, man. I think it's going to be, it's our goal is to be the model for what people can do all over the country, for a lot of reasons. Yes, to restore property rights. That was a big part of our motivation, was just to be able to show people the proper limited role of government, that government's a God-created institution. We want it. We need it. It needs to be there, but it needs to be in its lane and not overstep. And so make sure that we kept it within its lane, and then the landowners making most of the decisions. And so we're going to do that. No doubt about it. You'll be able to read our Declaration of Independence and some of the, I think, very timely modifications to the Declaration that fit what we're doing here. But in addition to that, just setting the model for how to be good neighbors and servant leaders. Everything we do at Patriot Academy is based on servant leadership. It's why we have the George Washington painting in the chamber, so that people will constantly see George Washington resigning, being a servant leader, and then coming back because he was asked to serve as president of the Continental Congress, the Constitutional Convention, and then being asked to serve as president. That's the kind of leaders that we're raising up, and giving them that foundation. Look what is on my chair behind me. Jesus is Lord. That is at the foundation of everything that we do here, and it means that He's Lord over everything in our life. So we have all of the answers right here in God's Word, including how we engage in a search and rescue situation, including how we come alongside our neighbors, including how we form a new city, and then, of course, how we teach the next generation. So the Lord is Lord over everything in our life, and everything that we do here is driven by that. And so I'm excited about Constitution City. I mentioned that we would break that down for you during this Tavern live episode. And so let me just give you real quick kind of how that thing works. So to become there's a lot of different there's a lot of different versions of cities and townships and all of that in Texas. The one that we have chosen is a Type C municipality. So we will be a Type C municipality known as Constitution City, Texas. And the way that works is you have to have more than 200 inhabitants in that area, and the area has to be less than 2 square miles. So our particular area is, no kidding, 177.6 acres. So that, yes, is 1776. Okay. Now, our property that we own is slightly more than that, a half acre more than that. So I left that half acre out so that we could be 177.6 acres. Okay, so that's the territory that will be Constitution City, Texas. And then it has to be between 200 and 4,999 inhabitants. So we're somewhere between 200 and 300 inhabitants right now. And an inhabitant is just someone that's literally inhabiting the property. Doesn't mean you have to have your registration here. You know, we only have a handful of people that actually have changed their registration to vote here on the property. Everybody else is an inhabitant, and that's people of all ages. We have some wonderful families that are here. We have students that are here for some for just a month, some for a semester, some for a whole year. We have our staff here that lives here on the campus now. So there's a mix of inhabitants that are here. And then we take that application to be a city known as Constitution City, Texas. I turned that in today to the county judge's office, and was in contact with the county judge. I was not able to meet with the county judge today, obviously, with everything that's going on. I had fully planned to have a briefing with him today on exactly how this whole thing works. So I think we're the first ones to do this in our particular county in maybe 100 years. And so anyway, he's obviously tied up with all of the emergency response and said we'll get to, and we talked and we'll get together next week. But he's well aware now of what we're doing. Gave me a thumbs up on text. I'm hoping that means let's go. And so anyway, that's where it is. He'll end up being the one to set the date for our election, which is November 4th. It'll be on a major election day, but he has to sign an order that actually sets that election here at the campus. And then November 4th, we will vote to become a city, and we will vote for a mayor and 2 city council members. They call them commissioners in a type C, and that'll take place in November. I am nominating Kara Green to be mayor of Constitution City, and so she already runs the place. So we'll have Mayor Kara. I'm going to call her Mama Mayor. Anyway, and then we'll figure out whoever wants to run for those 2 commissioner seats as well. So that'll take place November 4th. We will be a city at that point. Right now, we're a city in spirit, but we will be an official city after that election on November 4th. And so we're excited about that. We think it's going to be a huge blessing to our county, to our neighbors, certainly to the people that come and visit Patriot Academy. And we think it's going to be all over the nation. Constitution City, Texas is the place to go visit if you want to be inspired into patriotism and get trained to be a good citizen. Okay, there's a lot of other good, bad, and the ugly to cover. I'm not going to try to get to all of it because I want to get to your questions. So please put those in the chat, whether you're watching us on X or you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube or TikTok or wherever else we are this afternoon. Put your questions in there. I'll try to respond to as many of those as I can, just like we used to do on our Front Porch Live. I do have to at least address the issue of Elon Musk starting a third party. I am still prayerfully optimistic that he will end up not doing this. I'm hoping that he will realize, as others have pointed out, that if he spends 1/10 of the money he will spend to create a party on the Republican Party and taking over the apparatus and running people in the primary and all of that, he can have a much more effective impact on the nation. This third party movement thing is not going to work. I'm telling you, this is going to be a Ross Perot, Teddy Roosevelt. You pick your analogy. It's not going to work. It's going to help the Democrats in the long run. And so please, Elon, if you're out there watching, take all of this energy, all of this frustration, all of this money, and go take over the Republican Party and use the apparatus, the machine that is there. I would love for Elon Musk to become the national chairman of the Republican Party and push this stuff through and get people elected that will vote for the Doge efforts. I'm all for all of that. But if you do it through a third party, you're just going to split the conservatives and split the libertarians and the people that are for the things that we're for with regard to reining in the deficit. And you're going to give the Democrats control of Congress and potentially the presidency, the White House in 3 years. It's not a good idea. So that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know. I'm just praying for supernatural intervention and the right people to talk to Elon and hopefully move him back into helping with the Republican Party. Don't forget his evolution from calling himself a leftist just a few years ago to being a conservative, sharing Milton Friedman videos and pushing for all of these things that we are for. That's happened in a very short period of time. This is a brilliant, brilliant man that absorbed all that information and took really good action very quickly. So I believe that as he absorbs information on what happens when you do a third party like this, that he will end up taking all that effort and taking over the Republican Party. That's what I'd love to see there. Okay, those are the biggest headlines. I know the big, beautiful bill passed, but I don't think that's big news at this point. Everybody knew that it was probably going to pass, and there's a lot of good, bad, and ugly in that bill for sure. Let's see. I think probably I might be able to. Rhett, how should we do this? You want to feed me questions, or should I try to should I try to go over to Facebook from Riverside? I don't think it'll.
You want to get people to ask you questions?
Yeah. Hey, if anybody's got any questions, wherever you're watching us, if you want to do that on Facebook or on X or wherever you might be watching us, if you've got particular questions, please type those in now. Yeah, I see it. I see here on Facebook. And hey, you know what? We'll probably have some music next time we go live here in the tavern and make it more like the Front Porch Live was. So if you have requests for any of that, if you were a longtime viewer of Front Porch Live and you've been missing it for the last year and a half and haven't been going over and watching the tavern, or you just missed that live interaction, let us know what you'd like to see us bring back. We're sort of mixing the new and the old. All right, so it's old new wineskins. I don't know, something like that. Question from Michael about how it's going to impact the National Congress and the Coach Congress. It won't. In fact, we're still on track. Everything looks good for that. So unless something changes, those are totally on track. We've got a full National Congress. I think we still have some space for the Coach Congress in mid-August. You know, we thought about saying, hey, we're just going to send everybody home and use our cottages as staging ground for first responders and all that. But we haven't been asked to do anything like that, and I don't think it's going to be necessary. We've got other friends that have cottages and different places that we can place displaced families. So if it gets to the point where we might need to do that, then we'll consider it. But I don't think that'll be the case. So the plan is for National Leadership Congress and Coach Congress to be exactly as originally planned. Learn more at patriotacademy.com. Quick break. We'll be right back on At the Core.
At the Core podcasts are available at afr.net. Now, back to At the Core on American Family Radio.
We're back on At the Core, sharing with you a Facebook Live, a Tavern Live episode that I did just a little while ago to update everybody on the floods in Texas and our new Constitution City. We've got an incredible new course going right now that we're calling the Patriot Academy Patriot Institute Summer Intensive. And I know it's a long description, but it's 30 days right here on the campus. And so we've got about 50 students that have come in from all over the nation to be here for the full month. And right now they're taking the constitutional defense course. So they're starting with that. They wrap that up today, and starting tomorrow, we'll move into our regular schedule, which every morning from about 7 to 10 before it gets too hot here in July in Texas, they'll be outside working on the campus, just helping us get the campus ready, helping us build things, helping us clear land, all that good stuff, some good outside work. And then they'll have afternoons when it's hot in our house chamber. We're going to be doing some amazing classes. I'm talking about in a matter of 30 days, they're going to get a crash course on biblical worldview, on government, on communication, on journalism, on podcasting. We've got some of the best coming in to teach them. Chris Dunham, of course, teaching all month long. I'll be teaching all month long. Joseph Backholm's going to be teaching tomorrow. If you don't know Joseph, you're going to know Joseph. If you've been involved in any of the family policy councils around the country, you probably know him. If you've been through Patriot Academy before, you remember me playing his video where he's standing out on a college campus asking kids about, whether or not you can just believe that you're a male and therefore you're a male. Or in his case, he said, well, if I say that, and he's like my size, 5'8" white male. And he says, if I say that I'm a 6'2" Chinese woman, is that okay? And it fries their brains. Anyway, it's a great video just basically showing that, make-believe doesn't work. And Joseph's video went viral, and we used to play it at Patriot Academy all the time. So a lot of you that came through Patriot Academy years ago will remember Joseph from that. He ran the Washington Family Policy Council for a long time. Anyway, Joseph is coming on board with us. He's going to be helping to create this incredible program for specifically training that tip of the spear campaign managers and consultants and candidates. And so we're going to be developing that over the next couple of months. So keep your eye out for that. You're going to want to sign up for that when it's ready. But Joseph will be teaching tomorrow on Worldview, which he's done for years, is fantastic at. We're going to have Adam Curry coming in and teaching on podcasting and the new, what's happening in media. Where is all that going? Adam's the podfather. He's the guy that invented it. Laura Logan's going to come teach on journalism. Jason Smith was here teaching. He's the guy that produced and created the Flashpoint program and produced it for all those years. He was here teaching on just kind of where all that's going in terms of broadcasting and all the opportunities that are available. It was really cool to see all these students asking questions. They've already got a bent towards media and entertainment and wanting to go into that area. So that was cool. Who am I missing? There's going to be a lot. Tony Shoup's going to teach on grassroots organizing and how to make a difference in your community in that area. Of course, Reagan Green taught on character already some, but going to be doing a lot more teaching throughout the month. A lot of cool stuff going to be happening. And then these students will stay. They'll do all of that up until July 27th. And then for that last 7 days, they'll do that National Leadership Congress that Michael was asking about in the chat. That's our biggest event of the year every year. It's the full-blown legislative simulation. Going to be absolutely amazing. Hey, I see Howell Shaw out there. Howell, by the way, thank you for sponsoring the pickleball court. We got to get that scheduled and get you out here to design that and teach the kids some good pickleball. I want to see you play our pickleball champion, Jonah Murphy. I think that'll be fun. So that's going to be one of those highly anticipated events. The question is, can we do Rebuilding Liberty on YouTube? So what we've tried to do with Biblical Citizenship is not broadcast that because we want it out there on channels like YouTube, because we want to use it in the coach dashboard. We want people signing up. We want to know who's taking the class, be able to track those numbers. I believe we're going to do the same thing with Rebuilding Liberty, have it where you do it through the coach dashboard and not on YouTube. So if you would, Hal, you've got my number. Would you text me that question so that I can put that to the coach team and to our staff and make sure that I'm right on that. I think that's what we're probably going to stick with. You can start scheduling your classes now. And yes, the coaches will have access to the weekly class as it's released. So last week was the first week. Tonight's the second week. So after tonight, in your coach dashboard, you will have the first 2 weeks. So if you're starting a class this week, you could literally be right behind our national class and be airing those videos as they release. Yay, pickleball. Everybody's excited about pickleball. What is it about pickleball that just took over the world, right? It was tennis or all these other sports, and now it is the thing, man. And I'm talking about for people of all ages. So clearly we're going to need a Patriot Academy pickleball championship team to go represent us all over the world wearing pickleball clothes. Patriot Academy pickleball clothes. Any other questions before we sign off with our first live in the tavern opportunity? And again, we'll start doing this. Let me just break this down one more time. We're going to do this every Monday night, 6 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock West Coast, 7 o'clock East Coast. We'll be right here in the tavern. If I'm on the road, I'll still go live from wherever I am, and we'll still have a tavern episode. So we're basically going back to Front Porch Live, but we're going to do it in the tavern. And for anybody that's confused on why I'm using the tavern as the name of the show, this was such a critical part of the revolution. And it was just a cool place for people to go and talk about the revolutionary strategies and tactics it was going to take to launch a nation. And I think it's the place to have the discussions about those revolutionary strategies and tactics to save a nation. So if you think about it, the Constitution was ratified in a tavern. It was the Golden Fleece Tavern in Delaware. Washington said goodbye, bid farewell to his officers in the Flounces Tavern. George Washington, actually, his favorite tavern in Colonial Williamsburg was Christiana Campbell's Tavern. That's where he ate dinner 80 or 85 times, something like that. And Rhett and Cameron and I were just there and had dinner. It was amazing. We were doing a riding retreat in Colonial Williamsburg and got to eat in these taverns. And it's not a bar, so this isn't a drunken fest. It's a restaurant. Do they serve some libations? Yes, they do. But it's mostly to go eat your meal and have a good conversation. And so for me, it's Patriot Brew. So if you don't have some Patriot Brew, you need some. In fact, before we sign off, let me just read one of our Patriot Brew creations. This is Constitution Medium Roast, okay? I feel like we're sponsored today by Patriot Brew. So kind of. Anyway, but you need some Patriot Brew. Go to patriotbrew.com. That's Patriot Brew is a Patriot Academy product. We created it. And you'll be able to tell that I had something to do with creating it when I read you the back of Constitution Medium Roast. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect coffee experience as balanced and harmonious as our nation's founding principles, do ordain and establish this Constitution Medium Roast. This carefully crafted blend pays homage to the unwavering spirit of unity and statesmanship infused into the U.S. Constitution, which guarantees to every state in this union a republican, not a democracy, a republican form of government. Just as our Constitution unites the diverse voices of our country while balancing the purposely unequal branches of government, this Constitution Medium Roast brings together the finest coffee beans from around the world, creating a perfect symphony of flavors. Ben Franklin said we were given a republic if you can keep it, and anyone fueled by a cup of Patriot's Brew will be ready to do their part in preserving the torch of freedom. Anyway, all of our flavors have something like that on the back, basically teaching the Constitution and the Declaration while having a good cup of coffee. So check that out at patriotbrew.com. Rhett, what else should I cover before we go?
If you can access it quick, do you want to read some of our declaration?
Oh, that's a great idea. Yes. So we did. Okay. So you guys know I love the Declaration of Independence. I mean, look, this Rebuilding Liberty course that we're doing over the next 360 days, the whole thing is built on the Declaration. I even included my book, Freedom's Frame, which is about the Declaration. I love America's Declaration of Independence. I think it's the greatest government document ever written. I actually like it even better than our Constitution because it's the philosophy behind what makes the Constitution work. John Quincy Adams said the Declaration is the foundation, that sort of the slab that the home of the Constitution was built upon. So I think without the Declaration, everything falls apart. This is why you always hear me talking about we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're endowed by our Creator, pursuit of happiness. All these pieces, these bricks that we need to rebuild liberty with all around the nation come out of the Declaration of Independence. So when we decided to create Constitution City, Texas, and it just happened to coincide with July 4th, we said, let's declare our independence as a city and do our own Declaration of Independence. So our party last Friday night included all of these founding families from across the nation that came to live here at the campus, coming forward and signing our Declaration of Independence. A little bit different than the actual Declaration of Independence, but, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. So let me get it pulled up here, and I'll read you some of the differences between ours and the actual Declaration of Independence. All right, here we go. So first of all, we said, of course, instead of, in Congress, July 4th, 1776, ours says at Patriot Academy, July 4th, 2025. The unanimous declaration of the inhabitants of Constitution City, Texas. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to establish laws modifying the political bands. So we're not separating the political bands with our county and our state and our nation. No, we're just establishing laws, modifying that relationship, and we're doing it under the laws of Texas. We're not violating those laws. There's a group in Dallas, a Muslim group that's trying to create this city that's essentially going to try to do Sharia law and separate itself from the state of Texas and their neighbors. That is not what we're doing. They're doing it the wrong way. We're doing it the right way. They're doing it to get around the Constitution. We're doing it to restore the Constitution and uphold the Constitution. Anyway, I say in here, everybody knows this part. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Then I inserted, including private property ownership, a fundamental tenet of freedom. When I read that out loud Friday night, the room went crazy, man. Everybody was cheering. And then, of course, later in the Declaration, it says, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing inevitably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, I added, or even partial despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the not so patient sufferance of these landowners. It's a little bit of that modified. And then I modified this part. The history of the present would-be kings, some elected and many unelected, is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object the establishment of a micromanaging, death by a thousand cuts tyranny over property owned not by these would-be kings, but by the property owners who rightfully paid for their property with their time, toil, and treasure. Anyway, we go on and list the grievances just like Jefferson did. We modify those to be more to today's today's, what's the word I'm looking for, usurpations on property rights. But then at the end, I want to make sure I'm clear about this. At the end, we say, we declare our desire to be good neighbors and fellow citizens of Kendall County, the state of Texas, and the United States, respecting the decisions of our neighboring landowners to do with their land as shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. That's a phrase from Jefferson in the Declaration. Just as we expect them to respect our right to do the same, with all landowners exercising said rights without harming or infringing upon the property rights of others. We, therefore, the inhabitants of the 177.6-acre Patriot Academy campus, assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these lands, solemnly publish and declare that these lands are and of right ought to be free and an independent city operating under the laws of the great state of Texas, that they are absolved from all land control regulations, and that all political connection between them and the county in which they reside is and ought to be totally altered, and that as a free and independent city, they have full power to enter into interlocal government agreements with the county and other political subdivisions or entities. And then it finishes the same way the actual declaration does. For in support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So anyway, we had a lot of fun with that. It fits the day, and it will hang. All the families came forward and signed it. It's going to hang in our chamber and be the beginning of Constitution City. Really cool, fun stuff. Okay, is that it? Any other questions, comments, insults I need to read on the air? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We'll do this every week, 6 o'clock live, and then right after we go, or we're finished going live, we will publish it on Patriot U. So for anybody that doesn't do Facebook or X or YouTube or TikTok or any of those outlets, and I'm just telling you, we're going to publish this thing everywhere. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can. But if you can't get us live, and by the way, Rumble, all of that, if you can't get us live, once we get all that going live Mondays at 6, we will immediately make it available at Patriot U. Okay, so patriotu.com. If you're not on there, get on patriotu.com. It's a great place to watch all of our programming. Everything we have at Patriot Academy is available at patriotu.com. And so you'll be able to watch it there after we're live if you missed the live show. All right, buddy, is that it? Hey, everybody have a great night. Please pray for the people of the Hill Country. All of our first responders are still out there. The search goes on for those who are still missing. The recovery is beginning. We're going to be rebuilding homes, cleaning homes, doing all that in the coming weeks and months. And so, once again, if you want to be a part of that, great. Donate at patriotacademy.com. 100% of that will go towards those efforts. And we'll be marshaling the resources of all of the people that are here to go out and help with that as well. And we'll keep you updated as we go. I may go live a couple of times this week just to do updates on what's happening. But normally it's going to be Mondays, 6 o'clock Central, right here in the tavern.
Mention if anybody knows any families that we can help.
Oh, that's a great point. Red said, if you do know of a specific family in need in this area from the flood, please reach out to us and let us know. Just go to info@patriotacademy.com. Send an email. Our team will get that to us quickly, and we will go help specific people in need. That's kind of what we want to do is, like I said, like a laser beam. We want to target our help because you got help coming in from all over the world at this point. We want to target our help and make sure that it's meaningful and helpful and not a burden to those who are out there, the boots on the ground. All right, friends, that's it. We're out of time for today. That was actually a live tavern episode that I did to update everybody. You can go get that at patriotu.com or even just visit my Facebook or X or YouTube channel. And appreciate you listening today. I will see you again or hear you again, or you'll hear me again on Thursday here on At the Core with